Welcome to Booktopia TV. I'm John Purcell. I'm delighted to be here with best-selling novelist Di Morrissey to talk about her new book, The Road Back. Welcome, Di.
Hey, John. Thank you.
The Road Back is, the tagline to it is it ever too late to change your life? And I'm sitting here with Di Morrissey, who in mid-career as a TV personality changed her life and became an author. I mean, there are a couple of changes in your life. You were a journalist, then you were a diplomat's wife, then you came to TV, and then you became a best-selling author. In yourself, the question is answered. Yes, you can, and gloriously so.
You know, I actually never thought of that till you've mentioned that it applied to me. I was so thinking of how my character's life changed. But yes, it does. It does apply to me, which is another reason I say to people: never give up on what your dreams are and what you really want to do, because you know it can happen, and you can make things happen, and you can make changes. And I think that's something that you can hold on to. I think a lot of us think, like the character Chris Baxter in my book, that you look back when you get to certain stages in your life, and you look back and you go, things actually haven't worked out the way when I was young I imagined they would eventuate, because that's life. It doesn't always work out the way one plans, for better and for worse. But I think reinventing oneself and change is a good thing. And I think in today's society, we have to do that. You don't have a job for life anymore.
No.
So, and this particularly applies. The main character is a man of 40 who is a foreign correspondent, been working overseas. He's divorced, and he come back assuming that, end of his tour, he would continue to do the same thing. And then suddenly, his 14-year-old daughter, whom he really doesn't know because he's never lived with her, she was like 6 when the marriage broke up, wants to move in with him. So he thinks, well, how can I readjust my life? That's fine. And then discovers that he's made redundant. So there he is at this point in his life he could never have imagined, with all of the issues of a 14-year-old daughter and nowhere to live, and ends up having to go back to the country town and live with his mother. So again, it's compromises, priorities, challenges. I mean, I think one is less secure now than ever before, and people's lives do get turned upside down very easily.
And some of those, some of those changes, when you are worried about the future, and if you haven't got job security, you spend a lot of energy worrying about that possibility of everything changing. But when it does come, when something's forced upon you and change is forced upon you, sometimes it's actually something that's actually good for you.
It is. You either sink or swim.
Yeah.
I mean, you find that you have to survive, and you're doing things that you never thought you would. But I can look at on a different way. Look at my mother, who was widowed when I was 10, very, very unexpectedly and tragically, and she had never worked. She'd driven a truck in the war or something. But suddenly and we had no money. And suddenly she has to reinvent herself and get a job, and suddenly she ends up becoming our first woman television commercial film director, which was totally never ever considered. So you are forced to step up, and it can be very often in adversity. It can be something that is valuable and useful, and the old cliche about the silver lining, one door shutting, and all of that. I mean, I think that's true more than ever.
And when you look at your writing history, your place is extraordinarily important to every book that you have written. So the Plantations, Malaysia, you've got Broome, in what people describe as one of those books that changed tourism Australia, and the Bay and the Valley, your own home,
and the Burma one.
The Burma, yep. So we're talking in every book there's a place, and so in this particular book it's near Coffs Harbour and Bellingen.
In northern New South Wales, yes, very beautiful part of the country. Yeah,
and it's very, very rich in descriptive terms. You get the spot. And so, going to Bellingen, I was actually reading the book and getting those images. So I actually went onto Google did the Google Earth thing and walked down the main street, and there's that place, and there's that place you described, and so it's all...
It's not called Bellingen, even though Bellingen is on the cover of the book. I mean, it's always in fiction where you have characters not always behaving properly to not actually name the town, because locals can take offence. But Bellingen is beautiful, and I wanted that kind of being surrounded by rainforest and that kind of tranquility, and particularly when you look at where the state of the world is in 2014, I think finding security and safety and a peaceful place, the ability to be able to raise a family and have that kind of security is very special, and how lucky we are. So I wanted to pick a place that was really everybody's, utopia, idyllic place. And so I chose this place for that reason. And particularly as the character had been, as a foreign correspondent, had been in war zones and times of conflict, it sets you back and makes you reflect, I think, when you have the luxury of being in tranquil surroundings, albeit even maybe briefly.
So what's important to me, and it gives you time to actually think about it, and because it's a smaller environment, you can actually see those things all interacting and working together.
Yes, and when also you stop the daily treadmill and people are so time poor now. It's an incredible part of society that you don't take time to step back and reflect and pause and make judgments that for the long term, in the way, like going away on a holiday, you having fun. It's not a time where you sit and going, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? But you do need that stepping away time, and so by placing him back also in the environment of his childhood, that he can see where he's been and where he's been going and where he maybe should go in the future. So it's a story about relationships with a kind of other big picture. I look at the media very, very harshly. I think we're having to have a media background. I'm appalled at where we're going these days. The international relations with Indonesia, but essentially it's about family and people and place.
Now I want to talk to you a little bit about your career, because there's 21 books, 21 novels.
23.
23.
Keep up, John.
That's pretty much one a year, isn't it?
Yes, it has been one a year, except for the year my mum died. I missed that year.
When authors think about that sort of thing, that's a big challenge to try and take, and there's kind of an expectation that you're going to come out with another book every year. What effect does that have on your creativity and the writing process itself, that expectation?
It's a lot of pressure, it is there, but equally, if I didn't have it, I don't know what I would do with myself. And I suppose I've got into a system and a routine in my life for the last 20 odd years has been structured around writing a book a year, only because I wanted to, and I have a zillion stories standing in the wings. I wish I could get them out faster, and I'm very conscious now of the time span being on the wrong side of the hourglass. But I do a book a year. Readers came to expect it, and I found that it was has become manageable to not just rush out a book for the sake of having a book out, but I've evolved a system and skills, I think, where I'm actually working with my editor full time. We work together from the first word of the first page. I can redraft and rewrite that book 5 times within that year, and I'm incredibly disciplined, I have to say, but I still fit in a life. I have a month and a half researching. I have 6 to 7 months full-time writing virtually, and then I travel and I do things with my kids and grandkids, and they're there all the time, but it's also it's a disease, it's an illness, it's a hunger, it's just something that it's a volcano that writers, you just have to write. I can't not write.
Thank you very much for talking with us. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, John, and congratulations to Booktopia. You're doing a fabulous job.
All of Di Morrissey's books are available at booktopia.com.au right now.